Menteri Rangba ke jylla konrad ki sangma shimla kular baka Sorkar MDA kanla ban Pynbeit no yau put usam ban ke jylla Assam Henry kawat ki kilat kelenti ban Pyrshang namar kani kamat kalong kaba kaba laslem bat kaba kelan haba juba ka special motion hapo kaying dorbar haga sngi kaba san jong ka dorbar senrai konrad uloong baka jingtau ka komiti kaba sangut kamut bakin donbek tang sangut henry pedang ru ya gijeng ajumut jong baro ke badon benta bat kinong ilam snong ulai thu bah gijeng ya kendo ka ba arsin hapeng ki menteri rangba jong ka Meghalaya berasam kila menjur bagi don kan artli ki jaka baya kaja bar ke jing ya kren kan longbek ya kita ki jaka ha ka ba ansdang chwa na ki henry tuli ki jaka ba khamduna ke jing ya kaja Ulong baka Sorkar MDA ka shim ya ki kot kisla bala pun kre da ki Sorkar ki bala lek bat pun pau bakin long ki jingmen toy bha ki kot kisla ki bala don lupa henre ulong bakan long ka be ru ban kam ya ki jaka tang de ki kot kisla bala don namar ka Assam ru ka don yala ki jong ki kot kisla ban kam ya ki jaka ban benrap baka be menta ka long ya ki kot kisla jongnu ki badai Konrad uloong shushu ba menta hab ban pek ya ke jenglong jengman pat ko rukom haki kaput bat ya ke jingsno ki pait ba bat ki bor senchar uloong ru ba ka Sorkar kam kwa ban kam ba kan la ban Pynbeit henry kan yele ban Pynbeit namar ki briu ki basa haki kaput kila haki jings bat menta dei ban wat ya ki lang halo ke jingkren usiam ka samu himanta biswa sarma baka Meghalaya ka kam ki jaka Konrad uloong ba umtep bali usiam ka Assam Ukraine ki tei ki ktin henry uloong ba lese ka jumut jong menteri ramba ka Assam ka dei namar ba ya ki jylla hapo ka north east lapya na ka Assam nadu ka basdang ha ka joko por menteri ramba uloong ru ba amla ban kentai bagi don chibun ki jingja hakaput Hakaba kaladon kejing Pyrshang ban Pynbeit kloy nadu ki block officer ter cedo ka kerdan jong chief secretary bat benrap baka Sorkar habaka yo jingtep badon kinu ki jingja tang shio jingtep kila yekren marmar bat ka Sorkar Assam hakaba ulai thuru banabro arliang la kentu bana kinu ki jingja kat badang yad ki jing yekren Hashwa yakni haba wanra ya ka special motion nakliang u MLA ka Congress u ba hima shangpliang u labu jingkli ya ka jingbot ban ai ban shim jaka markliang da ka ba u lapun pau ka jingpersha ya kani ka jingtmu ban ong ba ki jaka ba dei jong ka Meghalaya kim dei ban lech Assam bat ki ei ki ba ka Assam kala dep klun dei ban penyo obyang sha ka Meghalaya nakliang u MLA ka nongpo u ba meral bon siem u loong baka Sorkar ka dei ban phap toket halo ka jing pun ken ya ka land transfer act namar gidon ki breu hadu menta ki bade pathar ya ki jaka hakapot Wemele ka umroy ba George B Lingdo labu jingkli ya ka Sorkar halor ka jingpha purton ka Assam hadu 1000 mut haki jaka khaput bat kumju ya ka jingkam jok Assam bakam don satya ka jing ya ka ja khaput pat ki Meghalaya henry de ki jylla Meghalaya ka bakam ya ki jaka jok Assam nakaliang unong ilam kaliang persya ubederu menteri rangba berem ke jylla u Dr. Mukul Sangma ulong baki MLA kaliang persya ki kersan ya ka Sorkar halo ke jingtmu ban Pynbeit yo pot usam lada ka Sorkar ka le hakrukom ka badai kiwei ki blai kren halor kani ka phang gilong uba kimfas s marbyang zenit sangma ba sosnes sotun ba piti saukme u esmatur SG mominin ke kong amprin lingdo ba adelbat nongrum bat rakam is sangma
Sir, as you have clearly mentioned earlier, that because it was special and a very important motion you had put it yesterday, but obviously because of circumstances, we had a lot of time yesterday, but we could not take it up because the mover was not there yesterday. But it is your large heart and also your commitment to this particular issue that today you have once again, even though the rules are not very clear on this and your final ruling will apply, you have allowed this. So I must, on behalf of the House and the people of the state, thank you, sir, for bringing this very important issue, especially at a time when a lot of discussions are taking place on this particular subject and this particular very important issue, sir. Sir, this issue, as has been mentioned by almost every member who has participated, And I'm sure it's in the heart of every single member who has not said or not participated, but everybody realizes the importance of this issue. And it has been a very long pending problem that we have faced. So therefore, I'm not here, and neither is this MD government here, to tell you that we will find a solution to this tomorrow or day after or within a month's time. It's not clear as to how we will be able to move, to what extent we'll be able to move. One cannot say. The desire, of course, is there. The will is there. And we want to find a solution to this. But to be able to tell and guarantee that we will find a solution to this is obviously something that I cannot say at this point in time, simply because of the fact that this issue has been there for a very, very long time, and it's a very complicated and a very, very major issue. And therefore, sir, to start off the discussion, I would first of all like to thank all the past governments that have played their role, all the former chief secretaries, all the former chief ministers, all the former ministers of both Assam and Meghalaya, and especially of Meghalaya, who have put in their efforts and their part to really move this issue forward step by step in an effort to finally maybe find a solution to this. So I do take this opportunity to thank each one of them. Also, sir, while I try to address some of the points that were mentioned by the members, I would also like to say that there was mention about the fact that there's a 5-member committee that has been set up by the state government. So this is a committee for the regional, the districts that are going to discuss, and it's a government-to-government committee. And that's the reason why we restricted it to 5, so that the 2 governments can talk. But that does not mean that these regional committees will only restrict to the 5 people who are part of this committee. The responsibility of these 5 members of this committee will be to have a huge, broad discussion with all the stakeholders, whether it's the traditional heads, whether it's the civil society, whether it's elected members. Everybody will be consulted and discussed before we chalk out the approach and the plan in which we're going to move forward, or the claims or the counterclaims that will be made. I can assure the House that every stakeholder, as far as possible, will be consulted in the process. But obviously, it will not be possible for us to get everybody in the room together. We'll have to do it step by step. So this is the way we will move forward, and we're hopeful that we will find some kind of a solution in the coming days to this very, very complex problem. Sir, I will not go into the formal reply that has been given to me. I'll just try to touch on the general sentiments and the issues that people have raised on this very important issue. So first of all, a lot of people stressed and asked on the fact that whether we are going to discuss these 12 areas of differences, or are we also going to touch on other areas of differences that are not within this 12? So let me be very clear. The discussion is only for the 12 areas of differences. There is no question of any other areas of difference that are there. There's no discussion on that. We are here to resolve, both the governments have agreed that there are 12 areas of differences, and this committee, these committees are going to work by taking the stakeholders on board and focus on these areas of differences that we have. Number 2, sir, one of the members had asked about the 12 areas of differences and which ones we're going to go first and why the 6 areas have been selected. So the 6 areas which we're going to work on in the first phase is Tarabari, Gizang, Hahim, Pilankata, Khanapara, and your Ratachera. So these are the 6 areas that we are going to be, and Boklapara, I'm sorry, there's one more, Boklapara. So there are 6 areas that are going to be touched. These are the 6 areas of differences which we are going to work on first. And the reason why we went into these is we have seen that in the past many years, not just these last 3 years, that number one, these are smaller areas. And number two, lesser complicated compared to the other areas. For example, Langpi has been an area where there has been a lot of tension, a lot of activity. Khanduli, PCR area, Block 1, Block 2 has been an area. Of course, Kanapara, Pelankata has been an area where a lot of activity has been there. But it is an area which is very small, and if we work very nicely and minutely, maybe we can find a solution. So that's the reason why we have gone for areas which we felt that we could actually find a way forward in. So that's the reason why these 6 areas were selected first. Now, having said that, obviously, Mr. Chairman, sir, we are not saying that we're going to resolve all 6 of them. Let me also enlighten the House that this discussion, along with the Honorable Chief Minister of Assam, the incumbent Chief Minister, I have been discussing this issue with him even before he took over as Chief Minister. So earlier, almost about a year and a half, 2 years back, the Honorable Home Minister of India, Shri Amit Shah ji, had urged all the Chief Ministers of the Northeast to work together to find a solution to the border issue, stating that if India and Bangladesh can also resolve their border issues, why we within our country cannot resolve our border differences before the 75th year of independence of our country. And that is what sparked the entire discussion for all of us. And the then Assam Chief Minister also has been part of the discussion, and the current incumbent Chief Minister also has been part of this discussion. So we have been discussing this for quite some time as to how we should move forward in these issues. Now, the Honorable Elo has mentioned when he was Chief Minister of the state, the team had worked very hard and they had come out with a full detailed report on the historical facts of claims that we have over the land and why we have them. And that document has been one of the guiding documents for us. And we are using that document even as I speak now. I have the entire report here on my iPad. And we work on that. So therefore, historical facts and documentations and land records are definitely going to play a very important role in this entire process of moving forward. But the other side of the story is that while we have our documents, Assam also has their documents. And therefore, the question arises, whose document will be more valid? Of course, that can only be decided either mutually we agree on it or a court has to decide it. So therefore, there are limitations to the approach of strictly going by historical facts and documentations. And that kind of limitation kind of restricts the scope of discussions that we could have. Therefore, the Honorable Chief Minister of Assam and myself, along with my other colleagues in the cabinet, we strongly felt that we may need to look at things also from different angles also. We may need to look at the ethnicity of the people who are there. What kind of people reside there? Are they Khasis? Are they Panars? Are they Garos? Are they Assamese? Are they Boros, Rabas, Nepalis? So this ethnicity factor also needs to be seen. What things were before and what things are now need to also be put into perspective. We can't ignore it. Another aspect we need to also see is what are the people's desire and the will in those areas. So it's very important to also see and consult. And this factor also is something that we need to consider while we go forward as to how we'll find a solution to this. Administrative convenience is also one area which is something that one will have to look at and see how we move forward. But historical facts and documentation, as I mentioned, will definitely be a very, very important part of the entire discussion that we have as we move along. Having said that, I want to also put things into perspective out here. The reason why we are very keen as a government and we feel that we should move forward in this is, number one, of course, it's been too long. All the members who have spoken about it have said, why 50 years? So we are not claiming that we'll be able to find a solution, but we also strongly feel that we need to find a solution. Too many lives have been lost because of this. Every day people live in fear, live in uncertainty, live in a kind of complete darkness sometimes, not knowing what tomorrow will happen. And the people residing in these areas of differences in the border don't deserve this. And therefore, if the leadership in both the states, if the society in both the states can come together and can find a solution to this, an amicable solution, then why not? And while we look at this entire perspective, I would like to urge each and every member in this house that we must realize that while we're working on this solution, there may not be a perfect solution for it. There may be issues that we may not be able to resolve. So as a government, we are ready to also look at partial solution to the process. So we strongly feel that, yes, there are these 12 areas of differences. But actually, when you go into the micro details and you actually look at the map of Langpi or you look at the map of Ratachera, you sit down with the local people, you sit down with the officials, you actually find that maybe out of the 20 villages that we are disputing, Assam will say we have no problem with these 5 villages, they are in Meghalaya. And Meghalaya also will say, oh, these 3 villages, they are in Assam only, we also agree. So 5 plus 3, 8, minus that 12 are the controversial or the ones where we're not agreeing. So what we are saying is that if we can agree on 5 villages plus 3 villages, for example, I'm not saying it's the fact, I'm just giving an example, then why not? We need to move forward, Chairman Sir. This can't go on forever. And therefore, there needs to be a point where we may need to, as I said, think out of the box and find a solution to this. One of the members mentioned about the fact that, about the statement of the Chief Minister of Assam, saying that Assam has nothing to, we have no claims, it's Meghalaya that is claiming. I can't comment on why the Honorable Chief Minister of Assam might have said that, but I'm presuming that since most of the states were carved out of Assam, and whether it's Mizoram or the state of Meghalaya, I'm presuming that he had said it from that angle, saying that in the beginning it was all Assam, and so it is Assam only that is giving. So I don't think he had any negative or any wrong thoughts on trying to claim over a particular location, but I presume that he was speaking on a larger picture and a historical picture where everything was carved out of the then Assam, and therefore from that perspective I presume that he is saying that the Assam had given earlier also and Assam will have to give in the days to come also. So I'm presuming that he said that, but as I said, it's something that only he can clarify. There were large number of members who had mentioned about the incidents that have been taking place. Now, sir, there is no denying the fact that many incidents have taken place in the border area. And even as we speak, sometimes some incidents do happen. And every time these incidents happen, we have a very strong mechanism to try to work on immediately resolving the issues. It starts off with the local block officers, the local Thana OCs, it escalates to the DCs and the SPs, then it escalates to the nodal officers who are there from both the states, and then it escalates to the chief secretaries and then the chief minister. So there is a very systematic way of resolving these issues, and yes, sometimes the tension is a lot and it cannot be resolved immediately, and we face and we see certain incidents that happen which are very unfortunate, and maybe these are one of the reasons also why we need to find a solution to most of these problems, because sometimes some of these incidents that happen are actually completely avoidable. It's just the tension that takes place and the misunderstanding that sometimes leads to a large of these incidents. I'm not saying all, but a large number of incidents could be avoidable if we are able to resolve some of the issues that we face. Regarding the specific issues mentioned by specific members, it will not be possible for me to reply to all of them, but as far as possible, Assam Chief Minister and myself now are on just a call away, and whenever incidents happen, in any situation which comes to our knowledge, we immediately speak to each other and get the matter resolved before it escalates. My only suggestion, and I would urge everybody, is that during this period, while we're trying to resolve the issue, we must, and Assam also must, I appeal through you, sir, that even the Assam counterpart and the Meghalaya counterparts, we need to restrain to whatever extent that is possible, because it affects the talks and the discussions that are taking place. I'm not saying who's right or who's wrong, but the situation requires and demands that we minimize all these kind of tensions, because those will then affect the talks that we're having. And I feel that this is a very positive time for us to be able to, if not 100%, which we hope it is, at least partial resolution in some of the areas is achieved. Sir, I'll just touch on a few of the points which was mentioned by some of the members without going too much into detail. The development aspect was discussed by almost everybody. And yes, sir, the border area locations require development and require security aspects. And as a government, we have always tried our best to ensure that maximum work wherever we can give, whether road connectivity, health, schools, we have been ensuring our security. We have been ensuring that the border areas along the Assam border are not deprived of the development activities. But definitely the suggestions given by the members, we will again take note of them, and we will ensure that we increase this allocation in those areas also, so that more development can take place in those areas. There was a discussion on give and take, and a lot of the members have been asking what is give and what is take. It can be interpreted in any way that one individual might want to interpret it. Some will think that we will give some and we'll take some. But the way for the government, at least for the MDA, the way we have seen the give and take and the way we are looking at it is that there are, in this entire discussion, say there are 100% of the area that is there. We strongly feel that there are large number of areas, and we are saying it after doing our homework. I want to inform the House that after discussing with the Assam counterparts, we have done a full drone survey of the 6 locations that we're talking about. So we have micro details into even a single tree or a plant or a electric pole that is there. Up to that micro level, we have mapped the entire areas. We know how many houses there are in each of the villages. We know which village is there, where the road construction is. So this matter has been discussed in detail. Not only did we do this, we have also had a very basic official level and at unofficial level discussions with the public of those areas and try to understand the sentiments that the people have out there. We have discussed with unofficially with the local leaders from there, with the MLAs, MDCs, or any kind of civil society, even the headmans and the Rangbashnongs. At a very unofficial level, discussions have been going on. So sentiments and inputs have come to us. And after all of these inputs, I'm not saying it, sir, as a statement in the House, but I'm just telling you the approach. So I shouldn't be quoted saying that this is what I was indicating, or I was stating, but I'm indicating here that all the discussions we've had, we are finding that there are, out of 100%, there is a large number of villages, if not much, 30 to 40% villages, where Assam agrees that this is Meghalaya, and Meghalaya also agrees that it is Assam. And you're actually looking at this map and you're seeing, slowly as you go into micro details, that actually there is no dispute in this 30%. But in the map drawing, it just so happened that in those maps it came out. And but the general movement is there, but we have to do more study in that. So I don't want to be quoted on this, but this is the indication that we're getting, because now we have to talk to more leaders, we have to go into micro detail, we have to go into more records. So it's a massive exercise. So when it comes to the definition of give and take, this is one of the areas which you're looking at. Is it possible that Meghalaya and Assam can agree on certain villages which are in Assam, are actually Assam, and which are in Meghalaya, are Meghalaya, without any kind of confusion? This is one of the definitions for a give and take kind of a model. Are we indicating that we will say, no, this land comes to us, so if this 10 acres is coming to you, we should get 10 acres? Absolutely not. We are very clear in our mind, sir, that if there is going to be an area where we don't agree, where Meghalaya says it's impossible for us to surrender, there's no question for us to agree to the terms and conditions of Assam. And Assam has made this clear to us also, that the areas where we can agree on, let us at least start by agreeing on those. Those which we cannot agree on, let us keep it on the side. We will discuss it when the time comes. But let us at least try to move forward. All these years, we have been discussing whether at the Chief Secretary level or at the Chief Minister's level, we go with huge documents. So this is just a sample of what we go with, and all of that is here with me. But it's more than this every time we go. And we sit for hours. They show their presentation, we show our presentation. After presentations are over, we don't agree on anything, and ultimately we say, let's maintain status quo. So we have felt that maybe we need to come out of this mode and try to find a way where we could actually start resolving bit by bit, and build up the confidence of the people as well as the two governments and Government of India that yes, we as a government and as a house and as a state, we are serious about resolving it and actually moving forward. So this is really what the approach is all about, and that is where the give and take aspect comes in. But as I said, sir, if it is a question of giving the areas that we don't agree upon, that's Assam, that's no question of going to that level, sir. We will not agree on the areas where we are very sure that these are the areas of Meghalaya, and only the areas where we agree on agreeing, those are the areas we'll move forward with. So there were some good suggestions that came out regarding land registration for free, regarding the border police task force, setting up a nodal officers. I have noted all these suggestions down myself, and of course my team also must have noted them down. Definitely, sir, we will examine all of this. In fact, the free registration part which was mentioned, this has been a discussion. Honorable Deputy CM himself has brought this issue out in a number of meetings we've had, and after thorough examination, we are looking at an aspect, but it will not be appropriate for me to immediately reply to that. So therefore, we are definitely examining it in a very positive manner, and I have taken a note of that point too. As I said, sir, regarding the individual small issues, whether it's about Yankuli, whether it's about the transit camp, or whether the issue about the other locations where the problems were having, sir, as I said, those are important events and situations that took place. But as a government and as administration, we have tried to ensure that we resolve them at the earliest. And I also would like to urge to all our leaders in this house and also outside this house that whenever such situations come in, it is our responsibility to work together to ensure that while these discussions are going on, that we minimize. Assam also tries to work on maintaining restraint, and so do we. But that should not be taken as weakness, and nor should it be taken as a compromise. But it is about being firm, but yet keeping the objective of finding a solution to this entire issue right in front of us. There were suggestions that came in about putting different pillars in different locations. So those are also areas that we could definitely examine. Regarding the select committee and other aspects, so that's of course a decision that is at your level. So I don't have any comments on that aspect, but I have very categorically mentioned and clarified to everybody in the House that these committees that are formed are government committees. This will talk from government to government, but their work, their scope of discussion is not limited to the 5 members, but they have been asked to consult all stakeholders, make field visits, speak to every stakeholder possible to ensure that we get the holistic picture, and we always take the people along with us while we work on this. And so, again, so the common factors that were mentioned about development and border issues, so I have taken note of all of those. There was one member who had asked about surrendering of epic cards. So there is no such direction from our side in that. So if the honourable member can mention specifically where this has happened and just give it to me in writing, I would be happy to definitely look into this. So regarding the areas outside the areas of differences, as I've mentioned clearly, that those are areas that are not within the scope of this discussion of this particular discussion we're having with the Assam government. So we are very clear that it is only about these 12 areas of differences, and we stick to that. If there are any, there was a mention about certain acts being like the Land Transfer Act, which was also was mentioned by one of the members. If there is any situation, any violation of that, and definitely we are aware of one or two locations, we are acting on those. But if there are such situations in other locations, we as a government obviously would be very, we would definitely be happy to act on that. So if the information can be given to us, then I will definitely take necessary action in those lines also. So, Mr. Speaker, sir, to conclude, there are many points that have come up, and I have taken note of most of them. But I just want to conclude by saying a very, repeating in fact, the points that I said in the beginning. One is that it is a complicated issue. Number two, sir, is that we are working towards finding step-by-step solution to this. We are hopeful that we can find a 100% solution. But even if not, it is the duty of each and every member of this House, and more importantly this government, to ensure that we try. We may not succeed, sir, but we will try our best. But I'm hopeful that while we move forward, the indications that I'm getting, the kind of findings that are coming out, it looks like we will be able to at least move forward in some of the areas. And that, I hope, will create a positive momentum so that we're actually able to find a solution in most of the areas of differences. And this is very important for us because it's been there for too long, and it's about time that we resolve this issue. And therefore, I was very happy when I heard the suggestions given by the honorable members, and more importantly, the tone and the words that were used by everybody was so encouraging. Even the honorable leader of opposition very positively said that we must work together in this. And that is the message that this House must give to the people of our state, that all the 60 members who are elected by you are working together responsibly to find a solution to this. And I think that is the greatest takeaway from this particular debate that we had, that no matter which political party we belong to, whether we are ruling or opposition, when it comes to the issues of the people and it comes to the issue of the state, we will stand together, we will work together, and we will fight together. And that, I think, should be the summary of this particular debate. And once again, sir, I thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to express these things, and giving the honorable members the opportunity to express their concerns, and allowing all of us to send this really positive message to the whole state. And with God's blessing, sir, I'm sure we will be able to move forward, and we will be able to find a solution to this long pending issue of border dispute or differences with Assam state.